let's fucking go. Vonnie is the GOAT. I completely agree. And our guy Julian's tapping in saying, yo, what's up with the guys? Great Sunday for the boys. Not so great for Garry. That is a fact, and we will get to that in just a moment. But, guys, let's get right to that game as the Jets beat the Bills 22-16 in overtime. Aaron Rodgers went down on the fourth play of the game, and the breaking news is that Robert Saleh just said in his post-game press conference, quote, "It's not good," as the Jets fear a torn Achilles for Aaron Rodgers as he will get an MRI on Tuesday. Initial speculation was Aaron Rodgers just sprained his ankle, but unfortunately it could be much worse. And something else that I wanted to mention is that Josh Allen is now 0-5 in his career in overtime, including the playoffs. Josh Allen can't seem to win in overtime to save his life. Poor guy, but that was the game. Kevin, I'm going to toss it to you first. What did you think of the first Monday Night Football game of the season?
Man, what a hell of a way to open it. All this expectation, 9-11, everyone was really riled up for this game. Like you mentioned, we saw the Giants get literally destroyed. We'll get into that later. But to see them come in and with all those emotions and come in on the fourth play of the drive, everyone, the reason everyone is watching this game is for 8. They don't even call him Aaron Rodgers. They just call him 8. Everyone was watching this game for 8. And to see him go down, I know that just took a huge gust out of the Jets players. I know the Niners fans can relate, losing a quarterback, just feeling, the whole, not even talking shit, just feeling the whole momentum just gone. Like you feel like you no longer have a chance. Garrett Wilson's out there just throwing his hands in the air. They can't get passes going. They're like, oh, shit, it's last year all over again. Our defense is going to play lights out, and we can't score 14 points. We're going to lose this game because we can't score 14 points. So it was nuts. But the last thing I'm going to say about this, I went into this day going 0-3 in fantasy, and I was like, damn, Toddy's only going to beat me because the Cowboys defense. I said, Alyssa, the Jets are going to have one of them games, and I'm going to come back and beat you. I'm going to lose the battle to Toddy, but I'm going to win the war. And I beat Alyssa 100-99. Shout out.
Let's not talk about Shaun. I'm playing Shaun this week, right, y'all? And I don't know if y'all know what happened, but Tyreek Hill got me a big W, and I was down in the dumps for Shaun early yesterday. Anyways, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that it was a great start to the fantasy football season for me. Solid 0-3. Great start to the fantasy season for me, including Tyreek Hill absolutely destroying me in my matchup with Garry. So congratulations, Garry, on getting that victory. And so now, Garry, you are the victor. And what did you think about our first Monday Night Football game?
Oh, man, this game was crazy, man. Like Kev just mentioned when, man, it's sad to see. I know this breaking news that, the fearful for Aaron Rodgers. It kind of sucks that, because that first, 3-4 plays of the game, he was getting hammered. You could tell that, this O-line is not ready to protect this guy right here, Aaron Rodgers, who is, we all know is what, I forgot what year he's in, but he's on the last tail end of his career here, and the most number one thing he needs is protection, because once he gets protection, he can start dishing out to his guys. So that was a little bit sad to see, because literally that was like the whole offseason, problem that they kept addressing for the Jets was his offensive line. So I guess the people that predicted that it would be in shambles basically were looking correct tonight. Wilson steps in. Zach Wilson probably had no clue that he was going to play. I think Fitzpatrick on the Manning cast was talking about, he was talking to him preseason and how about that he was ready to learn behind Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that, behind the Hall of Famer. Well, looks like you can be thrown into the wildfire again, my guy, and you got some weapons to help you out. As you can see, this Jets defense was nothing to play with. It was kind of weird, I was waiting, you would think that, the Bills are going to capitalize and just, choke them out and boom, put a dagger in them early and call this a game. But they just kept letting them have a chance. Josh just forcing things, which, hey, he leads the league in interceptions now and turnovers beginning of the season. I know it's week 1, but it is not a good start for a guy who they've been talking about that they need to take the next step and get into that Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow category. I feel like he's slipping in this way, and especially it's not a good way to start the season. So I think it was just a weird win. Like we talked, it was just a weird win. Like, you want to take positivity if Aaron Rodgers was there for this game for the Jets, but at the same time, going forward, this was abysmal offense. They were barely scoring. Literally, Peyton Manning would say that he gets 3 more throws left in like the third quarter. Like he was saying, Zach Wilson only gets 3 more throws to throw, and then it was just crazy how much disrespect he was actually giving them. So I was like, if Peyton Manning's saying this on live television about this quarterback, it says a lot of what he thinks about this and what the Jets probably think about him internally. So, but hey, you got to give it credit where credit's due. He threw a lob to the corner fade route right there to the Garrett Wilson to bring that ball in and make a great. I know, Kev, that was a crazy. I didn't scream too much. I don't really scream during games that you see me yesterday. Well, we was getting whacked yesterday, but I was going crazy when I seen that catch. I'm not like, it was a spectacular catch, probably top play tonight on ESPN and top play of the weekend, I think, so far. So it was a great game, a little weird game. I think the Bills will bounce back, but they got some question marks for sure that they're going to have to handle here soon.
And Jaevon, as you were saying, your neighbors probably thought that you and Soph were yelling at each other just because you were yelling so much. And even Soph tapped in on the YouTube comments. She said it was a roller coaster of emotions for him being Jaevon. And so, Jaevon, you can bring up your hot streak or you can talk about the game, but the floor is yours.
Soph has seen me go through a roller coaster of emotions since Saturday. And this kind of what started everything. And it kind of just rolled over into Sunday. Garry and Shaun were over at the house on Sunday, watching some football. Got this nice jersey for my boy Shaun. Didn't have a jersey last week. Now we are not jerseyless. Kind of just going into today. It was the last part of the hotline. Hotline went 4-0 last week. Kevin didn't post anything about the hotline last week. Went 1-3. He posted about it this week. Goose egg. Just the hype of Aaron Rodgers all off season. Him going on McAfee, announcing he wants to play for the Jets, coming out of the darkness retreat, saying that he's coming to New York, pretty much. And it was just a whole off season. Hard Knocks was there. They're bringing up the last quarterback. Basically, was Joe Namath. I mean, it's just been that much of a travesty at quarterback since the Jets have been a team, pretty much. And Aaron Rodgers is coming to town. And, there's, all the emotions, obviously, the circumstances of today being 9/11, it was just poured onto all the emotions of it being in MetLife Stadium and just Aaron Rodgers' first game as a New York Jet. And, they get the ball first. They kind of come down. First 4 plays of the game, Aaron Rodgers ends up going down. You kind of saw early. The offensive line was pretty shaky, and that was kind of a question mark kind of going into the regular season. Aaron Rodgers was kind of saying, and even he was saying, publicly saying like, this is shit we gotta fix. The offensive line needs to be, tip top pretty much. And you kind of saw early that he was kind of getting pressured, and he took a sack, and I thought it was just, like a regular sack. He was going to get back up. Doesn't get up, tries to walk off, needs help off the field, ultimately gets carted off of the field. Just that turf in general has had a bunch of history. A lot of injuries have happened on that field. Obviously, for us Niner fans, Nick Bosa towards ACL on that same field. And then, Zach Wilson, he has to come in and save the day. And you're playing against Josh Allen. Ultimately, they brought in Aaron Rodgers because Zach Wilson was the number 2 overall pick a couple years ago, and he's been very pedestrian ever since. Zach Wilson cannot read a defense. I'm just going to say that right out loud. Like, whenever he drops back to pass, I don't know what he sees. There's guys running wide open. He panics and just, like, throws it to whoever. Like, it's I wouldn't
he
even
was
say
running
it's
a lot today,
I
like
wouldn't even say it's
opposite
the
direction.
O-line. It's just him being able to, like, okay, let's go through my progressions. I get it. There's always going to be people in your face when you're facing a pass rush. You have to be able to step up into the pocket, evade pressure to a certain degree, and be able to get to the ball to the right receiver. You kind of saw that on like 2 or 3 throws out of however many attempts that he had. And obviously he had the back shoulder throw to Garrett Wilson, who, you know what, I'm just going to say this out loud. This is something that me and Kevin and Shaun have gone back.
14 for 21.
Ohio State's wide receiver. I'm just going to say it. I don't give a fuck about what anybody says. Just Garrett Wilson is a freaking dog. You got to get him. You have to get him the ball. You got to get your playmakers the ball. And I feel like they were in one-on-one situations and a lot, and freaking Robert Saleh was so scared to drop back Zach Wilson that he didn't want to lose the game. Like there were times when they got the ball back off of Josh Allen's fourth turnover late in the fourth, and they could have went up by 7 because there was at least 3 times down the stretch where literally they stacked the box, and you had Garrett Wilson one-on-one in coverage against a nobody. It wasn't Tre'Davious White. It was whoever the other corner was, and ultimately they didn't take advantage of those opportunities. And I kind of heard Aikman say on the cast that Aaron Rodgers is known for changing the play at the line of scrimmage, and he's able to read. He's very good in pre-snap. So I think if Aaron Rodgers was obviously in the game, this would be a totally different ball game because of the 4 turnovers that Josh Allen ultimately had, and Rodgers would have figured out a way to get into the end zone. Off of at least 1 or 2 of those turnovers, and ultimately Zach Wilson did. But the main thing was obviously the defense in this game. That D-line was absolutely dominating, I think. Quentin Williams was getting back there. Apparently Quentin Williams' older brother plays on the team. He's a middle linebacker. Dude was flying all over the place, making tackles, just disrupting. Sauce Gardner played well. I thought that I would have liked to see him follow Stephon down the stretch on that last drive. But I get it because they're in hurry up. It's kind of hard with positioning and the way that their offense or their defense was set up. DJ Reed had made some big plays, and obviously, ultimately, Whitehead is the safety that I'm mentioning who had the 3 picks. So, this Jets defense, you got to give it up to him. Zach Wilson is only going to be able to do so much, and it's kind of looking like Aaron Rodgers is going to be, kind of down for the count for the end of the year, and that's not what Jets fans were kind of hoping to see. It was a Pyrrhic victory for Jets fans ultimately, and you're going to have to try and figure out a way to, kind of pick the troops up. I mean, you're 1-0. You're tied for first in the division. What is next for the Jets? I really couldn't tell you. Do they try to look for somebody and sniff around for a trade?
And the ball to Breece Hall.
I don't know. But, yeah, Breece Hall, that running game was very important to the Jets. I feel like if Breece Hall gets into the end zone, maybe if Garrett Wilson maybe lays a block instead of trying to celebrate. I thought he was gone because I ran outside of the room and thought that he scored, but he ultimately got tackled. And,
gassed out.
Yeah, he looked great, coming off of an ACL injury. He looks
127 yards, only 10 carries.
Yeah, he looked phenomenal. So, Zach, I feel like just with the play calling, people are going to stack the box against Zach Wilson now. And you're going to have to make him throw. And if the Jets don't, or if the Bills don't turn the ball over 4 times, I don't know how the Jets win this game because the Jets ultimately got way more possessions than the Bills did. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be basically the same thing as they were last year. They're going to be in a bunch of close games because the defense is going to not give up as many points. And they're going to be in a lot of rock fights because Zach Wilson, you're going to have to lean on Zach Wilson to win you games. And I don't know. It literally took a special teams play to end the game because I was so afraid of them going into overtime. Josh Allen gets the ball. I don't know what was going to happen, but then I saw the stat that he was 0-5 in his career, so that helped too. So I went through a bunch of emotions, a lot of emotions.
And Xavier Gibson, his overtime punt return touchdown is the first overtime punt return touchdown since 2011. It's been 12 years.
Was that the Deshaun Jackson?
No, it was not. It was a guy, Jaevon, that got cooked yesterday several times. None other than Mr. Patrick Peterson, member of the Pittsburgh Steelers.